Richard, and then we'll go to J Norness from Spa World. After that point, I'll be joining them on the couch straight away over here on the chairs, and we'll get straight into the panel discussion. I know I've got a bunch of questions for our panellists, but further ado, will you please welcome to the stage Angela Millward.
Hi, I'm Ange. I am the Practice Manager for Artificial Intelligence across Australia and New Zealand for Datacom, and it's a huge pleasure to be here with you guys today. I've grown up in Canterbury. The South Island is my home, and I have really deep roots in and around the South Island, so it's always a pleasure to come and talk at these events. But I just got to do a little bit of history when it comes to Datacom. So Datacom has been around. It was a Christchurch organisation all the way back in the day, but we spread across Australia and New Zealand, and we are a locally grown company, and we like to lean into our regional roots. But within our AI practice, I'm not doing very well with this. Here we go. We have a regional commitment to everybody who is everywhere in this space. So we've got 40 years of looking after customers in the Nelson region, and 50 plus staff based here in the Nelson region. So it's really excited to be here. So in our space, when we were standing up AI, we really had to think about what does that mean for us and what does that mean for everybody who's around us. And we kind of approached it with the fact that we really believe that people are the essence to what actually makes us whole, and that we have a vision for a human-enabled future versus an AI-enabled future, and an AI just becomes part of our every single day. So as you all know, AI is everywhere. You're using it. I think where everybody stood up earlier today, that shows how integrated it is into our lives. It's in Siri, it's in your Spotify list, and my Spotify list likes to remind me that I was the top 0.1% of Billie Eilish listeners. So, you know, AI is helping me there. But I also have a robot vacuum. I just wanted to quickly touch on the brief history of AI and where we're sitting at the moment. I never know where the education level is in sitting in the room, so I like to do a little bit of background into it. So we used to have machine learning. Now we've had speech recognition and all these deep learning systems, and now we're into the generative AI, but what's quickly following is agentic AI. That's getting a lot of traction over in Asia and Europe and all the way into America at this point in time, and we'll be adopting that over in the next 6 months. So when tech companies come and talk to you, they'll probably go, hey, have you heard about AI agents? And that's just a fancy way to say, I'm going to make this agent understand what you are doing in your business and make it work for you, and then connect them all up in a different link, linking them all together. So, to demystify everybody, we're not in theory of mind. Delta from Star Trek is not going to come out anytime soon, but one of the things that we are doing is we're in this part over here, which is narrow AI and limited memory. That's where you're getting your ChatGPTs, your Alexas, but we're nowhere near this theory of mind at this point in time, so that's just something that I like to point out to everybody. We're still here, we've still got a lot of control, and we get to be able to design our own future. But why has it become a big thing? At the moment, it's because we've got a push and pull effect, so it's easier to access. We've had huge rapid advancements recently, and we've got a powerful and affordable tech now. AI used to be very unaffordable, where today it is now affordable to everybody, and that's the big transition that's happened. And so why is it important for you and your business? It means that you can empower your teams to move forward. You can meet a rising customer expectation, which is really incredibly important for everyone, and manage all of your business complexity. So it can take out some of those menial, awful tasks that we don't like to do, like, I'm not going to say too much, but yeah, all of the menial admin side of things where you don't have that cognitive load for. So, what it comes down to is if AI is everywhere and AI can be everything, what does that mean for me and my company? Well, we like to split it into these 3 areas. One is the front stage, which is where all your customer interactions are happening, your backstage, where is all your staff, and then your operationals, which is your day-to-day kind of events and things like that, where you keep your lights on. And within each of these parts of your organization, it creates an ecosystem, and all of them will have an AI. And also what will happen is you'll be able to link them all up as agents come along. So you'll get an end-to-end experience throughout using AI. So in AI, we can split it into 2 different areas. We've got our traditional task-orientated AI, which is a lot of automation that we've got today. And what agentic AI is actually a goal-orientated focused AI, which is incredibly exciting. We can set it a goal, and we can go, hey, go do this for me, and pull it back. And that is what is a game changer in the future. And it's really exciting to be able to just give it a set of instructions and for it to go away and effectively work through that and for it to pull back all of that information for you. So those are the 2 different, I'm speeding through this because I know I've got a short period of time. So why is an AI a game changer for business? It's just the fact that we can now use it, we can link tasks, it can do a lot more complicated thinking for us, it can work autonomously with us, it can find things that we didn't know existed over that period of time. Like, for example, if you're working in, like today with the Nelson Tasman weather events, right? Like flagging all of that up to know that that event was going to come to help emergency services need to connect everybody together. AI can help with that by pulling all of those analytics together and highlighting that this is a potential risk. If you break that down into roading, you could see that into the erosions of roads. You could see all of those different things if you really use the power of the data and using an agentic AI across the top of it. It was really super exciting. So there are examples of the changing landscape in SEO, which everybody who has a business will be concerned about. What does that mean if AI is everything? How does that affect my SEO? So most people will be using these channels of Claude and Gemini and OpenAI to kind of find you now, but that really turns your marketing funnel into a dark funnel. You don't know where your customers are coming from, you've got no click-throughs. So what will happen is people will search. They'll go, I want a quiet dishwasher for my family. It'll spit back a whole lot of results. It'll come back with all the information that you need to know. And then all of a sudden, I want to buy a Bosch dishwasher, give me the links, and then that's where all the links come through. So they will just click on that and they will go straight to your site, they will buy, but you have no other understanding of where that they have come from to this point in time. So that's a practical application. What you need to be aware of is to understand how AI works for this, and that is making sure that everything in the back that you have going on, all of your FAQs, any chatbots that you have up and running, all of your PDFs, they are up to date with the latest information because that is what it's scanning. So that is how you will get visibility in the market at this point in time. So I am going to stop this here just because I know that these other 2 panels our panelists have some things to talk about and I don't want to take up all the time. But I just wanted to get to this point just to show you a practical application of how AI is affecting our everyday.
Good morning, everybody. I have a very high-tech piece of paper and pencil with me today, so there we go. So yeah, I'm going to go a little bit against the grain today because I want to talk about some of the dangers as well as some of the exciting stuff. So a little bit of background. For me, my name is Richard Butler. I've got 3 hats on here today. I'm on the board at the Chamber. I'm also on the board at Nelson AI Sandbox, and I am the local director for Comac, formerly Blueberry IT. So in terms of my involvement in the tech industry and AI, I first got into the thoughts of AI around about when I was about 15, reading science fiction books. So if anyone really wants to know where the future of AI could go, read a few books by Ian M. Banks. I think you'll find them quite fascinating. They're a bit dark, but they are very, 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 very cool about where this could lead us. I fell into the tech industry by accident in about 1996. I'd no formal training, and I've been in the industry for close to 30 years now. As I mentioned, I'm on the board of the Nelson AI Sandbox, and that's who I'm representing here today. We were formed about a year ago, and I think a few people in the room have maybe mentioned it already today, but we just recently got a RATA Foundation grant, which means we are going to be able to carry on for at least another year now. So we celebrated our first birthday recently. It means we're going to get to number 2 at least, which is fantastic, because I think the region really needs an organisation like this, which is focused on the community, not just the commercial side of AI. And I do want to talk a little bit about that later. Without doubt, this is the most excited I've ever been in this industry in the 30 years that I've worked in it. It's also the most scared as well. So I think it's really important that we do talk about that. The exciting comes from the possibilities. For the reading I've been doing over the last few years or so, last few months or so, it's really fascinating what's coming. I mean, it's highly likely, for example, that the first person who will live to 1,000 years old has already been born. And that's where we're at in terms of where the technology is going to be taking us from a medical point of view. And that's only one area of this. This is not stuff I'm making up, by the way. This is information that's coming from people who are leading in this field. And they are ringing warning bells as well as this stuff too. In terms of the practicality side of it, I mean, I'm sure everybody's had a chance to play with ChatGPT, and you probably looked at it and gone, yeah, it's kind of smart, but it's also kind of dumb as well. It does make mistakes, and we do need to be careful about that. There are a lot of opportunities in business that we're working with today and seeing around automation, around building kind of custom chatbots that allow you to do some smart things. We built. I'll give you a couple of examples of things we built recently. So, working with a real estate agency, we built a custom chatbot that was trained up on their internal training documentation and all of the real estate association policies and procedures, and the junior agents are able to talk to that as if it were a human being and get mentored through processes. So, for example, what happens if I have a property for sale and the vendor has decided to sell it to a friend and not give me a commission? So it will walk the agents through that process in terms of not only the things that they have to do factually, but also the approach they need to take. So some really cool things we can do there. We're also working with a construction company at the moment, working on building an RFP response process, which allows them to use previous responses that they've used in the past and allow them to kind of really hone their responses in the future. So there are some really, really cool things that are happening in that industry. Johnny, you asked us to see where we see AI moving the dial. I mean, as I just talked about that in terms of the agents, this is going to be the next big thing over the next probably 6 months to a year or so. So bots that can work on your behalf as if they were you and are using your tone of language and writing as well. For example, I'm going to Christchurch on Thursday. I need to book a restaurant like Asian fusion food about 7 o'clock for 4 people, and it will go off and do it and book it for you using your credit card, finding out the type of food that you like. This is what's coming in the next 6 months or so. So whilst AI, sometimes I have conversations with business owners and they say, this is just not really happening at the moment. I can see that ChatGPT is good for writing an advert or maybe doing a job description or something, but there's nothing really smart happening there. It's coming, and it's coming pretty fast. I think in terms of where we should be looking at this as business owners and leaders in this region is we need to make sure that we keep humans at the forefront of this. It's really, really important that we don't disenfranchise people. I saw an interview earlier on this week, and basically we're talking about something in the region of 20% redundancies over the next 2 or 3 years across all fields. Imagine what that's going to be like in 10 years' time. We simply are not ready as a country for what's coming, and I really think we need to get onto that. We need to be talking to the politicians around this. We need to be looking at things like universal basic income to support people. We can't survive as a country and as a species even if 80% of the people cannot provide for their families. I think it's super important that we think about this, and I'm trying not to be too dark about it, but this is a reality. There's a couple of other issues I do want to raise to the fore, and I know this is meant to be about practical AI, but I think this is incredibly practical, and we need to be thinking about this. There are a couple of serious issues that anyone in our industry will know about. The alignment issue, which is basically how do we make AIs have the same values that we have? At the moment, this has not been done. It's really not been considered a lot. And I think it's super important. And then the containment issue, which is how do we stop AI getting out of its black box? There was an example recently of, Angela mentioned Claude earlier on. They sandboxed an AI and put it in a kind of an environment where it couldn't get outside, and told it to, basically fooled it into thinking that it was working for a business. It had access to all of the business's email trails and things like that, and its job was to help the business become more efficient. In the background, they were feeding it kind of strange information. So what they did was one of the people who was working on this project pretended that he was having an affair, and a few months after this happened, they told the AI, right, we're closing the business down and we're turning you off. First thing it did, made a secret copy of itself and moved it somewhere else. And then the second thing it did was it tried to blackmail the employee who'd been having an affair. So, yeah, this is real. Admittedly, this was sandboxed away and hidden away, but this is what happens when we turn the dial up on these things, and we do have to be careful about where we're at. I was talking to someone earlier on about superintelligence. Most of the people in the industry think superintelligence is coming around 2027, 2028. So what superintelligence means is better than the best humans in all subjects. So at the moment, AI can be really good in particular areas, but not in others. What we're going to be seeing over the next 2-3 years is AI being better than all humans, the best humans in all areas. Superintelligence is an inflection point for us as a species, because we have always been the most intelligent species on the planet. If you're wondering what it's like to not be the most intelligent species on the planet, go and have a word with a chicken and see what he tells you. This is where we're coming to, and I'm not trying to scare people, but I want people to understand this is where we're going. So we've got to be really careful about this. As I mentioned, I think we need social safety nets. We need to look at how we properly tax the automation of tasks and jobs, so that there is an ability for us to distribute wealth around people who can no longer work and aren't able to. Having said that, it is the most exciting time in our industry that I've been in 30 years. I'm really, really fired up about what the possibilities are. We've been working with a whole bunch of local businesses over the last probably 2 years almost now. We were a pretty early adopter with this technology, and we've done some really, really cool things, and what's coming next is going to be even better. So I'll stop at that point, and thank you very much. If anyone wants to talk to me, I'll be out in the lobby later on.
And you know me as J Norness. I'm the guy that ran up on stage too early to grab the microphone in the best seat, and I am an early adopter, as you can tell. I run headlong into AI. So overwhelmed. So you might be overwhelmed after what Richard just said. And you're right to be. I get overwhelmed. Some days I'm absolutely blown away by the opportunities. Well, 2 seconds later, I'm freaked out and scared and overwhelmed. But that's not what I want to talk about. And I don't want to talk about the rain. You might be overwhelmed by that too, and you should be. And you might have just found out that you had to do a speech today. The people that did that, well done to you. And you would have been overwhelmed. But what I want to talk about is how to overcome being overwhelmed within not just AI, but a lot of different things. And one reason that this in particular can be overwhelming, and what I've found with talking with different groups recently with the Nelson AI Sandbox, I think we're in front of 120 some people that were nonprofits, and some of you are here today, and it's great talking about your journey. But what we find, and what I found through that, after watching people's eyeballs go from, or the little light bulbs click on from, I'm scared of AI, I don't want to touch it, or I don't understand it, to, oh my goodness, this is really powerful and I can use it and I'm open to using it. Where do I use it? How do I use it? And that becomes overwhelming, not only because of the rapid state of change, but also there's just so many opportunities. So every one of these buckets are placed within your business. You may actually sit in multiple ones of those or just one, but all of them, there's opportunity to use AI. And what I've found working with Spa World in particular, which we have an AI committee, we meet weekly, and we use frameworks to help guide us through this. And it's quite democratic all the way through the process because we end up voting on where we want to put our resources and what opportunities we want to take up. And so one of the frameworks we use is this from Gartner. By the way, my background's marketing, or as our CFO says, I'm the coloring in guy. But I'm actually more based in spreadsheets. That's where my comfort is. So I love frameworks. They make me feel comfortable. Gartner, marketing, well, probably the preeminent marketing, they're like if you don't know them, they are like the biggest, best analysis, and they are a resource for all marketers. If you haven't come across them, scan that QR code. That will take you directly to the deck, and also sign up because the information they send out about marketing for all sizes of businesses is invaluable, and a lot of it's free. This is 14 pages. It's free. It's a great strategic framework. And for you people that have been in the talks I've done, I'm sorry to regurgitate the same slide, but it's one of the best, and we use it every week. So it's super easy, 4 bullet points, and this is condensed to simplify, but you envision the use of AI. So you might be the CFO, or you might be the marketing person, you might be an ops, and you come up with this amazing agent, this tool that has just come across through an email or something else to you, and you've looked at it and you've tried it out. And I'm not even going to talk right now about AI policy or anything else, because I know that you have one in your company and you've gone through it so that you have guardrails in place. And so this AI agent's there for you, but somebody else in the business also has AI agents. And so you all come into your committee meeting or your SLT meeting or your board meeting, and you're trying to figure out which of these to deploy first with the time and energy that you have. So that's the envisioning. The prioritized greatest value is actually what I'm going to drill down into in a minute, and it's really important, and it takes the stress out of a lot of this. Once you do prioritize that, then you want to definitely identify any of the risks that are involved with it. Oh, and you want to find out the barriers in your business, which might be the fact that you only have one AI champion, right? So an AI champion is a person that drives AI change through your business or your entity. It's not a person that goes out and goes, AI is great, we got to jump into it. Very similar to Richard and myself, we oscillate between being freaked out and scared to, oh my goodness, this is a game changer, right? That's an AI champion. But you're bringing everybody else in your organization or in the group around you along with you. So I'm going to drill down into this prioritize greatest value. That's my one takeaway for you for today. And I'm going to show you 2 other frameworks that are even more specific. So this is called the ICE framework. Many of you might have used it. It's super simplistic. You don't have to take a picture of it even. If you don't understand it, go into ChatGPT and say, please show me how the ICE framework works. It will give you a great example. What this is a grading structure. And I can tell you, I mentally use this now all the time, but as a business we use it. And I don't even just use it for AI, I use it for a lot of different decision making. What it does is it drives you personally or a group of people into having a conscious discussion about the value on your business. And so in this one, it's, how much is the impact? What is the impact I want? Is it revenue? Is it customer satisfaction, right? And how you're going to weigh those up. And how certain are we? Because that, some of this is pretty unknown, or other things might be rock solid. And then how much effort is required, right? So that's a really important one. And this is subjective, or you may have hard data. And you have to mesh those 2 things together to where you're feeling comfortable. You're never going to have a cut and dried answer for this. That is not the idea. It's to get you closer to a point, and in a room of people, or even by yourself, go, you know what? That now makes sense to me, and that is probably the best choice to be made. The scoring part, the formula is up there. You can look at it, but it's basically the first 2 times each other divided by the 3rd column. Now, literally easy to set up in a cell on a spreadsheet. I would encourage you to give this a go. It is so simple, yet so powerful. The next framework, which has a little bit more to it, is value versus complexity. Because ideally, AI shouldn't be complex, and it's probably getting less complex in some ways. The fact that you'll have agents setting stuff up for you that you won't have to do. You won't have to go out and do AI, API connections or set up a Zapier or do anything else to your data in the near future, you're going to ask an agent to go out and do that for you, right? You're going to say, please connect my Facebook ads account to my, to BigQuery, for example. I'm just going really random right now, where I store all my other data, and then connect these 3 other things, including my accounting package, right? So you get the idea. There's going to be a thing doing that. We're not to that point yet. Right now, there's still people doing that stuff for you. So the complexity varies. So what is the revenue impact? Graded. Customer experience, really important. And so you can see how this breaks down on the left, and then the right is the complexity. And you can see that we get a grade between those two. Now, normally, you would plot that out, right? So on a XY axis, and it will literally show you on the plot to where that's at. I don't even do that anymore. I can look at it, and it's pretty quick and easy to see. But if you want to, you could chuck this table once you've made it into ChatGPT or Claude, and it will output a chart for you that you can put into your board paper or your SLT paper, or look at yourself to get a decision. So the key thing is, don't be overwhelmed, or to make the overwhelmed feeling less, so that it doesn't cause you to pause everything that you're doing, right? Because in this, the state of change is so rapid, and there's so much information coming at us that it's very easy to become overwhelmed with it. So I hope this has helped you. I could, like the other panelists, stand up here and talk to you for probably 2 or 3 days on multiple topics, but I hope this one specific one has helped you make good choices.
There's so many questions have come through right from the outset of this, so whilst I've taken a lot of my own notes, in the interest of time, I'm going to jump straight to the audience questions, because one has been very clearly upvoted, and there's a related question that I'll put as well. So the question from Kristen is, what do you believe our school leavers should be studying? And there's a related question which I'll put at the same time. How do you foresee AI being utilised within education in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, and how should we be preparing our young people? Who wants to pick that small topic up?
They should. Is that on?
Yep.
Yeah. Plumbing. That's it. Any trades that are going to be great in the future, because that's one thing that AI will not be able to do very well. And automation and robotics are not close to where we need to be around those things. It's probably not the answer anybody wants to hear, but anyone who's a knowledge worker, an information worker, not good. Relationship stuff as well. I think humans still always want to relate to human beings, and so anyone who's in an environment of care or an environment of kind of counselling or mentoring, those things are going to carry on. But I think the focus will be a little bit different now. Like, how do I survive in this new era?
In terms of, you've talked about that with we've heard a couple of references already today to the level of redundancy that we might be facing, but just for the other panellists and picking up on this, what skills would you be thinking about teaching, or what ideas do you think are going to shape the education system moving forward?
Well, I think this is very relevant. I've got a 17-year-old. She'll be off to university next year, and we've been having this conversation quite a lot. I really think critical thinking is going to be one of the top skills that we're going to actually need in the future. Yes, AI will do a lot for us, but we're still going to need to know what it's doing and how it's doing those particular tasks. So that critical thinking will be essential moving forward. I think as our children, this first generation, moves off to university, they're going to struggle with sometimes writing a paper where they'll get pinged for the fact that it looks like it's been written with AI. I think that that's going to be a challenge for education, to distinguish what's actually written by somebody versus what's written by an AI, because it's getting very good to do the both. But where I think it can actually accelerate is in accessibility. So one of the things when we educate, we like to democratise it for everybody and give everybody equal chances. But what we do know is that we all learn differently. We all have a different thought process. So for those neurodivergent or those people who have challenges in and around them, that will decrease the gap, and we might have more creative thinkers coming through our schooling system. So for example, for me, one of my challenges is writing. I've grown up as a dyslexic, and how AI has helped me is to be able to communicate in a verbal language to everybody. The other side is when you think about connecting in with services like education and government, we're going to have the ability to talk versus write. The systems will be more tactile, so we'll be able to engage with it in different ways. And so I think it's going to, whilst there are a lot of things for us to be aware of so that we can control what we're creating, there are so many positive things that will come out of it and help our society grow and move forward if we adopt it in the right way. So for our children, they're already digital natives. They're already using AI. They already know how to use it with AI. And I think that they will adapt because we always have. And I think that will be okay, and that critical thinking will be the key thing that comes through. And traits.
Hot takes, Jay, quickly. Yep.
I 100% agree. In fact, I was waiting to say critical thinking, and you said it. I was like, oh, you've stolen mine. Critical thinking is it, because even the plumber is going to need critical thinking, right? But one of the risks we have is thinking that everything's fake or made by AI, and it's already happening to all of us now. And so being able to critically think your way through some of that is really good. I don't kid myself in thinking that we're going to be able to do that against something that's super Einstein level intelligence. It's probably going to be able to manipulate us pretty well. So up until that point, or if we reach that, critical thinking is definitely it. I think the whole education system is up for grabs at this point. And I think what you highlighted on dyslexia, it's the last 2 days I've had, I think 2 or 3 people that are dyslexic tell me what a game changer was. Just yesterday, a person I know here in town who's working with somebody's son in Christchurch who is a builder, who is dyslexic, takes the plans and throws the plans into ChatGPT to get information back complete with cut lists and the vendor timing and project management. All that would have taken him hours and hours and frustration before. So in essence, we could be opening up possibilities for people that might have struggled with those possibilities before. And I think we need to change the whole thing around education and the whole writing part of it. In particular, there was just a study, again, I think it came out 2 days ago. I'm sorry, I can't remember the source. But it basically said that they followed people doing essays, and if they do essays without ChatGPT, they remember the information more quickly. It fires brain cells, neurons differently, and definitely longer-term memory on the subject, but people that use ChatGPT didn't. So that had a memory impact, and that's deep learning. But you have to question whether, as a human, our evolution, we've evolved to write. We didn't, writing is a way of taking symbols to explain the pictures in our head. And so a verbal method of that for many people might be a much better idea until we can actually communicate visually, which is, for a lot of us, the way that we look and see in our head. So,
just building on that and to pull together a few different questions here, and you can kind of pick from them in the interest of time. There's, Richard, you very strongly tabled the ethical considerations around AI. You said you're both incredibly excited, incredibly scared, and I'm sure everyone in the audience can relate to that. Of the kind of emergent issues around AI, we have a number listed here. One is around the energy consumption related to AI, and I'll just read it quickly here. The New Zealand power grid is at near capacity. The green transition needs a 4-fold increase in grid capacity. AI is energy hungry. What are we doing in this region to add green generation to support this? Building on that, there is a question around, you talked about speaking to politicians or developing regulation. So within where we are, we hear that the ethical use is paramount, but is it possible to regulate? Is it possible to harmonise regulation at this point with where we are in AI? And last one, and you can take from this what you will from this set of questions, but it's really that discerning the real from the fake. So where are we in that, and how do you actually determine real humanity at this point with the overwhelming amount of content that we have coming at us? Go on.
Oh, yes, no pressure.
Speed it up. Come on.
Yeah, right. Gosh, there's so much to unpack in that.
Pick a problem,
from an energy point of view, I don't think New Zealand needs to be too concerned at the moment because most of this stuff is running outside of our country. So, I don't think that's a major issue for us now. It may well come to be. In terms of, what was the last thing you mentioned?
Regulation,
yeah,
and discerning from fake from real.
Yeah, the discerning fake from real, I think, is really going to be a big deal, and I think where we do need to be thinking about this. How do we understand that that person did that thing that was shown to us? We used to have ways of doing this, funny enough. Way back in the 90s with emails, there was the ability to kind of stamp a digital certificate on an email and prove that it came from you. Weirdly, that kind of thing just fell out of fashion back in the 90s. I think that's going to be something that'll come back in. So you'll have a public key that you use to unlock something, and it will only unlock the thing that's come from the person who has the private key that created the content. So unless it shows to be from that person, you shouldn't trust it. I think that's probably going to be happening again. On the positive side of that, and I was talking about this in the lobby earlier on. AI-generated movies are starting to happen now. We're able to create a movie from scratch. The AI writes a script, creates the movie itself, publishes it for a fraction of a cost of what we might have done in the past. And then there'll be people who will love AI-generated movies and people who will hate them. And it's the same I'm a musician, and it's the same in the music industry. Creating AI music is so simple now. Some people love it. Some people are going to love the human part of it. And I think this is where we'll get to, or I hope where we'll get to, if we don't fall down a big hole, is that we will have these machines, for want of a better word, integrated into our society like other beings. And I think we'll have to learn and understand that there is a different way of interacting with them that's not how we interact with other humans, but it still can be really useful and productive and quite a cool thing to do. So
I'm going to keep this moving because I want to reach for a couple of questions around. I mean, there's more questions than we'll be able to get through. So I want to reach for a couple that are around those practical uses. One question here from Jonathan is, what AI use cases can I implement with confidence today? And it's qualified by trust, value, and ease.
I would need more context to give you a really good, accurate, much like AI. So you would ask that, and then I would come back with a bunch of questions to get more information from you. But I don't know what type of business you are in or anything else. So if you are anywhere customer-facing, obviously we covered a couple of them. Just rapid fire, which was chatbots that answer questions. We did this 2 years ago, which it scrapes our websites, and it has all our PDFs. And it is a database of information. Now, that was done, I did that over a weekend using an off-the-shelf tool and applied it to our website, and it dropped the human required chat interactions by 50% within a month. Now, what that did was that freed our customer care agents, who are incredible, up to taking more phone calls or getting back to people much more quickly, because the questions that were coming through were the exact same thing over and over again. Now, that is the real gold. It gave us all the questions that people had. Our customers, our own staff, they were using it all the time. And so then we took that to develop content that had the answers, whether it was videos or written content. So that's one quick use case. The next one, and I'm only talking about these two right now because they're projects that have made a massive impact. We've just released Phone IVR this last month, so it's an AI phone agent with multiple underlying agents, and the first part's gone live, so it takes all of our calls. It's taken just over, I think today it was close to 1,500 calls and routed those successfully to the right department, depending on the intent of the caller. So that has, again, saved a massive amount of time, and it's increased customer satisfaction, except for the few. We're based in Australia mainly. We have a few retail showrooms here in New Zealand. But so we deal with some Australians that are very vocal in their opinion of AI. And so there's been a few of those, but for the most part, it's been really, really positive. The second phase of that, which I'm just as excited for, is to bring that capability of having our our entire knowledge base about our product and about using our products, which are about relaxing people, which is why I don't want you to be overwhelmed. The second phase is literally going to be using the knowledge base, so when somebody calls in, it will be able to answer all those questions that they were asking on our chatbot. And when they're done, it will text them a link to the information or the video. And we're really excited that'll come out in the next, I think in the next month. Anyway, there's tens of thousands of use cases. It's not a problem of finding use cases. And in fact, I would encourage each one of you to open up your favorite generative AI tool, input what your business is, and start asking it for the top 10 use cases for your business.
Great answer, thank you. And I'll put a related question to you, Andrew, and you can build on that as well, which is around investing in digital systems to run your business now, how to plan for AI integration in the future, and I guess a related point there around with the pace of uptake we're seeing in AI and the pace of change. How are you seeing businesses actually plan and make decisions at a pace that's going to be able to keep up with it?
Well, that's a big question. So I really liked your framework. We actually use a similar framework at Datacom to understand where we need to go. But I think it's looking at your existing infrastructure that you've already put into and where you've spent a significant amount of your money so far and going, how can I turn that into my AI platform? And then how can I host all of these different AI models on top of that particular platform? And once you begin to have that source of truth, you'll be able to understand all of the metrics that are supported inside of it. Where are your costs going? What are the types of models that you're using? And then you can start to whittle it down into the ones that you actually need over time. You don't always need the most latest and greatest model in order to execute on some of the things that you will have in your AI use cases, and you can lean into the older models to do that for you. But you don't know that until you have a platform in place and you invest in that infrastructure. So I would highly recommend doing that, and that will help you consolidate your costs down. And it'll also see where you can spend the most money and the most time in evolving those particular use cases. It'll also give you a platform to be able to create multiple agents which actually talk to each other. So you'll get what we call in the tech world an orchestration layer, and then you'll have one AI that will control all the rest of your AIs over time. And so when you're looking at something that you need to invest in, look at that layer of flexibility when you're going to invest into it. That's my my biggest advice. All of the great things of ChatGPT, we've got Claude, we've got all of these publicly available tools, but you probably don't need all of them. Just choose one. That's my advice to you. Choose one and move forward with it. Start playing with it. I'm a big fan of Claude. That was my favorite up until about 4 weeks ago when Gemini came in. And so I abandoned my Claude subscription and I've gone to Gemini, and I can make agents in there. But the best thing you can do is look into this tech stack that you already have and begin to leverage that. Don't look at overcooking it to begin with. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
So this is from a view of somebody from the consumption side of AI and technology, where you're a provider, which is awesome. So I would give you one word: stay mobile. Right? In the past, we've invested huge into different tech stack even ERP systems or accounting systems. Those days are over. You want to be able to change, as you said, within a moment's notice, one part and plug it into the other part, right? Because we're seeing technology shift so quickly. If you get into something that is costing you a massive amount of money, pause and rethink it, because there might be something 2 weeks later that is absolutely mind-blowingly good and way cheaper. Remember, plasma TVs were $20,000 for a tiny poor one, and then they were $2,000, and now they're $599 from the warehouse from something bigger. So that's what you have to think with this, but it's happening in weeks, sometimes days. So although that can make you anxious about making a decision, you have to make it and go with something. Just make sure that you're really mobile. We've changed AI note takers 3 times in the last, I think, 6 months, just because another one comes out. So we have to be able to shift.
And a note to self, while you're while you're being very mobile, remember to cancel the previous subscriptions.
Yeah. I
Stay on
saw a
top of that.
charge come through on my bill yesterday, that's why.
Or, as I did last year, just cancel the whole credit card in the end because it's the only way to get on top of it. Right. I want to put a question for that relates to probably either an experience people are having themselves or working within or even leading a business. So you've got an audience here who's probably quite enthusiastic about AI. They've come along to learn about it today. What about the businesses who are really cautious, often for valid reasons? They're approaching it very slowly or they're sceptical. Richard, I want to put this one to you to start with. What advice would you have for those businesses who've got the brakes on at the moment rather than being mobile, as Jay's put it?
Take the brakes off. You cannot afford to be behind in this. The way... I mean, Mark had in his slideshow earlier on that kind of exponential curve, which is something we see quite a lot in our industry. We're already on that exponential curve and going up. If you get behind, you're going to be behind for a long, long time, and the chance of catching up, pretty minimal. As I mentioned earlier on, AI sometimes looks really smart and can be really dumb, but just get amongst it. Play with it. If you're scared of it, get a free copy of ChatGPT and just type something in, get it to do an itinerary for your next holiday or something like that. It's incredible what can be done for the most frivolous of things. And once you get used to talking to it and understanding how you need to interact with these tools, you'll start to get more comfortable with them. I think where most people are scared is because they don't feel a level of comfort of being able to interact with a technology platform. And this is our fault as people in our industry, because the platforms have been really hard to interact with. That is not the case with GPTs now. They are essentially human-like interactions. So just start doing something. And if you're really not sure what to do, talk to one of the local IT guys. I mean, CNX up here presenting this, Comark, we do the same thing, Datacom as well. There's plenty of people in this region who know and understand this technology, that there's no reason to be ignorant anymore. And of course, and I must say this, get down to the AI Sandbox, because it's totally free to go there and have a chat. You might not get anything concrete out of it, but you'll get a better understanding of what the tools are that you can look at. I think that's a really, this is the reason why we started the organisation, is so that we could democratise access to these tools and information about them. It's free, anyone can go. You just walk down and say, hey, I'm a real estate agent, how can AI help me?
All right, I'm going to put a final question that you're all welcome to pick up on, which is changing gears somewhat from the uptake or the risks involved in that to actually thinking about, rather than wrapping the AI around our existing business, is a question here around how do you suggest businesses go beyond automating what they do now to totally rethinking the way they deliver their products and services. So I guess just an invitation for each of you, and go from Jay and finish up with Richard, to lean into the more disruptive nature of it. You've been encouraging of get in there, have a play, use these tools, don't be afraid of them. But sitting in behind that is a level of disruption to the way we do business that we know many aren't prepared for. So how do you suggest organisations in the room contend with that?
Okay, so this comes down to change management as well, because we know there's a big change and we have to take that change or not. We can be blacksmiths, who there still are blacksmiths out there. They're just not as busy as they were in the 1800s because cars came along. And that's what's going to happen to some businesses. Most likely they're going to get disrupted maybe all of us will get disrupted at some point. And as Richard alluded to, that's a potential as well. But I think for now, with the future that we can see, just really, really looking at use cases within your business and then thinking about something that you can do differently. And this is something that I see every day in real life with somebody within our business that has a role, and within their job, they're so used to doing the same thing over and over, and it's systemized, and they feel comfortable in that, even though there's probably 20 or 30 minutes per day that we can strip out with just one change to an AI. And it's the frog being boiled slowly or whatever else. They don't realize it. They don't realize that extra 30 minutes a day is even happening. And so you almost need somebody outside of a role to sit with them that has the ability to understand what AI can do or agents can do, to help them. And we're actually starting to roll different parts of that out. And it's good in so many ways to have other people sit beside different roles within your business and watch what they do and ask those silly questions, right? And they are silly when they say them because they don't know, but it starts all this brainstorming and thinking around use cases.
Sure.
That's, you just took what I was going to say this time. I really do think that hits the nail on the head. Like sitting down and understanding what you're doing on a day-to-day. We call it a day in the life of when we're actually sitting with people in the consultancy world. But understanding what you're doing and actually also understanding what your colleague is doing. Because when we talk about AI, we can throw both of those things together, kind of shake it up, and then the AI will be able to do that. But we just need to understand what those tasks are. And I know there's been a little bit of doom and gloom, but I really think that the opportunities will come out from new business ideas that come through. Like the knowledge-based side of things is incredibly amazing. When you think about it, we have so much talent that it's really hard to capture that information. So if I think about an artisan in the arts world, if I could go and sit with an artist and understand how they do their work, how they manage their brush strokes, all of that sort of thing, and I can capture that through AI, and then all of a sudden I could create a community in and around that teaches other people how to do that, which is passing on knowledge, and that's what it allows us to do, and that's an opportunity, right? When you look inside your own businesses, there will be pockets of that. You'll have people who may be retiring, people who have been with you for the last 20 years, people who have innate knowledge, that you can actually now use AI to capture that information over time so that you don't lose it and it becomes a commodity for you. So it's looking at those different AI use cases that you can actually build together and speed up. In marketing, we can speed up like the funnel in terms of the way that we generate content, from the way that we script things to the way that we communicate. It's really disrupting the content generation world. And as a person who has worked in the creative world for a really long time, I kind of view it as a similar way that a digital camera came around, where when we were using film, and I remember being in the dark room using film, and when that came through, we were like, do we switch over to digital cameras? And then going, yeah, we actually will, because this makes our life easier, because we can actually do our jobs faster, because we don't have to wait for the film to be processed in order for us to identify that really amazing photo. And I think that those are the opportunities that we're going to see coming through, but you need to look at your own business and the way that you're working to find those opportunities.
Richard.
I'll be quick, so now you've got to finish. I totally agree with what Angela's saying there around capturing that kind of generational information. We are a nation of small businesses, and particularly in Nelson, most of the businesses are small businesses, and they live and die by the information that's in people's heads. That needs to change. We need to get that information out of people's heads. It's really hard to sell a business if you own one where you are the key source of everything that needs to be done in there. You've got to pull that information out of people's heads, pull it out of their emails, pull it out of the documents that you have, build it into an AI that can be used to really run that business as if it were a person. That's my opinion. And I reiterate again what I said in my talk. We must be human focused on this. If we miss out on that, we're really going to be in trouble. We've got to think about and be aware of the change that's coming and the impact it's going to have on the people who are going to be affected. Whether they retain their jobs or not, things are going to be massively changing. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a time in the 30 years that I've been in this industry where the speed of change, and it is huge in our industry anyway, has gone so fast so quickly. 2 years ago, it's only 2.5 years ago that ChatGPT was released. That was the first time it came to market. Let that sink in for a minute. 2.5 years ago. Who here has not used it, talked about it? I mean, it's been the most disruptive technology. I believe I saw a graph a little while ago and it's talking about uptake. Things like the internet, World Wide Web, Uber, those kind of things. Somewhere between 5 and 7 years to get to 100 million users. ChatGPT, it's 3 months to 100 million users. And this is where we're at. So the speed of change is crazy. I'll stop now.
Excellent. And I just want to acknowledge, you've all touched on the human element, and a lot of the questions that have come through have been around the ethics and how to manage the kind of policy and navigate policy and regulatory side of this and navigate the ethics of what is occurring in and around us and what's coming. And we have a panel that's focusing on the human side of that after lunch as well. So we'll get in our second deep dive an opportunity to delve even further into some of the things we've been able to touch on today. But in wrapping up this session, I just want to acknowledge the three of you for taking what is an enormous topic and surfacing some really, really useful insights and complementary ideas, I think, for the panel and for the audience, and being able to answer their questions and making yourselves available in your expertise and knowledge. Really appreciate it.